Hey there, hi, my name is Mercury and I'm the trans handyman. Today is a great day to learn something new and help someone in the process. Let's go! Today's video is sponsored by our friends at iFixit. Now, let's meet our new friends for today.
This message is for Mercury Stardust. Your content is geared towards helping empower people who own homes that don't have a certain skill set to make their home their own and to fix things and to feel confident and to gain that confidence in fixing things. Matt and I do a lot of work for the sanctuary. Matt especially. He's a great builder and a figure-outer kind of person. I mean, stuff comes up all the time here. But something that we've been battling the entire time that we have been in this house are the outlets. Until you solved my problem with this little thing. When I saw your video featuring this little doodad fixing my exact point of frustration with the outlets, I ran to Amazon and purchased them. They're small, they're clear, which is perfect for us because we do have house chickens, and we all know a chicken's gonna peck if they see something of a really cool color. But since they're clear, I don't think they see them, which is good because I don't need a vet visit for a consumed whatever this doodad is called. For those who don't know, you just slip it into the outlet and then you put your cord in on top of them and it makes it really tight. Look at that. No more frustration with the outlets. I know that you have a target audience in mind, and our little sanctuary and our house chickens probably never hit your radar, but I really want you to know that we're very grateful for you and the content that you make. Thank you.
First and foremost, I would like the record to show that I am, in fact, a huge demographic of mine is chickens. I have a chicken named after me, so don't tell me what my demographic is. But it was really nice to meet you, and thank you for sharing that with me. Now, for the record, let's talk about that little doohickey called a snug plug. Do not Google that, by the way. It is a wonderful little device, and it's great, and I super duper love it. And we're gonna show you how to fix an outlet on top of that, how this works, and all the little things you may wanna learn about electrical safety while we're doing the work today, okay? So let's get a little bit messy and learn something new. Let's go. This is called a snug plug. We have an affiliate link down in the bio down below if you want to support us by also getting these really handy things. I love them from airports, hotels, and then also, of course, apartments and homes themselves. Super handy to have. These are safe to put in your outlet, and I wouldn't do just a 3D printed thing like this at home and expect it to be the same level of safety. So please keep that in mind. Don't put just any old thing in your outlet, but these are safe to do so, and I really recommend them. Now, what I like about them is that this outlet on the top is fairly loose, but I'm gonna put this right in here in the big hole. The big end goes in the big slot, and you just push, and then it's gonna make that outlet nice and tight when I put stuff in there. Now, to get it out is also fairly easy. You can use just a pencil, which is very safe by electrical outlet, put it right underneath the ridge, and then pull it right out, and then you're good to go. You don't need to put any metal next to it or anything, and that is a super safe way to remove those. So again, if you want to give this a try, please use our affiliate link down below. It would help us, and I think these are very safe and very handy, and I highly recommend them. Now, let's talk about that outlet itself. This is a great temporary fix. This is great for having like an apartment or having an airport or you're working at a hotel or anything like that. But if we're talking long term, I think it's best to replace the outlet. Now you may be thinking, Mercury, why does it go bad to begin with? Why inside here is it going bad? But inside here is a bunch of pins. And you can open this whole thing up and fix the pins, but if you do that, you're almost better off to just replace the whole outlet because it's actually very tricky to replace the pins inside of this. But those pins have tension that go inside of this little slot right here. And when you place something in there over and over and over and over again, over a course of time, that's gonna wear out that tension inside of those springs. And that springing is not gonna be springing anymore. So I would highly recommend replacing this. Now, if you get the ones that are a little bit more expensive, commercial use is what they're typically called, then that's probably gonna hold up a lot longer than the cheapest option. So remember this, if you spend 85 cents on an outlet, you're probably going to need to spend $5 or $6 in the course of like 6-7 years to replace it over and over again than you are if you just spend $4 to $5 on an outlet right now, okay? So let's talk about how to replace these and how to do it the best way, and let's go. Well, this is the outlet that we're going to be testing today and working on, okay? The first thing we're going to want to talk about is having an outlet tester. This is super handy, and you know that it is live when it says correct like that. There's a whole bunch of different kinds, but I highly recommend making sure you get an outlet tester. It makes your life a little bit easier and it keeps you safe. When it is not on, then you know you're good to go. But if it's on, it's getting power, and you definitely do not want to work on an outlet that is live. Now, if you're thinking, Mercury, I don't even know where like this outlet is. Like I go to the breaker and I don't know what breaker turns it off. I don't know how to find it. And I live alone. So how do I find a breaker when I live alone? It's so difficult. Now, here's some tricks for you. I have an alarm, I have a radio, I even have a box fan. And you can even use a lamp. All you have to do is plug it in like this alarm is right now and turn it on. When this turns off, when you flip on the breaker, then you know it is off. And this is a great way to figure stuff out when you're living alone or you're trying to find multiple breakers in the whole apartment or the home. I love this trip, and then we're going to do that right now, and we're going to figure it out. Okay. Let's go turn off that breaker. So what you'll do is go to your breakers right here and then turn off each breaker until you can hear it go off. And ours just went off, so we know it's number 14 in here and it's good to go. And you can even label everything you have in here as you're doing it. So you can say, oh, that's side room and second outlet, so you know for sure. I think this is a great way to make sure you're safe at home. Also, it saves you a headache later on. So let's go and take it apart. Now that we came back over here, we know that alarm clock is off and the outlet tester is off too. So that means we're safe to proceed. This is a huge, important step. Do not work on it live, okay? We're gonna remove everything, and then we're gonna take our handy dandy little multi-screwdriver and take off the outlet. Just like that. And we're gonna pull it open. Then we're gonna wanna flip our screwdriver to be a Phillips screwdriver to remove these. And we can remove it right from the outlet like this. You should have, in an ideal world, have about 3 to 6 inches. Code is different in every single part of the country and countries, but right here, this is fairly standard to have this much room. If you don't, it might make this job a little bit harder. Now, you may notice a few things. The black is going to the bronze, the white is going to kind of a silver color, and then this bare wire is going to the green. The bare wire is typically your ground going right to your ground wire, okay? You absolutely want to have the ground wire in today's modern electricity. You may also notice that I'm not using a power tool. And the reason why is because it's very easy to strip this, overdo it, and you really don't want to do any of that type of damage to your electrical units. You want to make sure you keep them nice and safe. And this is why I recommend using just a multi-screwdriver to do this job. So what we're going to do is just take them off. If you're unsure if you're going to do this correctly, you can do it as you go on. So take the black wire and put it onto your bronze nuts as you are going on and on, okay? So you're kind of like matching it as you're working. Now you may notice the trick that I'm doing is the wire is going this way because when I'm turning the Phillips screwdriver, it's going to wrap the wire around. So I don't want the wire to be facing this way because that's going to go against it. So we want the wire to go with the turning of the screw, and that's going to make sure it's nice and tight. Now you may also be wondering, Mercury, why aren't you using like the holes that down below? Some of these have these little slots that you put the the wires through. And a lot of electricians and a lot of professionals will tell you you really shouldn't do that. You don't get as good connectivity, and there's a lot of faults that could happen, and it could really be a hazard. A lot of people like to use them because they're easier, but in honesty, I think this gives you better connectivity and a longer, stronger hold, because more of that bare wire is connecting with the nut instead of just the tip, and you want more of the wire to connect with your nut. Now on the other side, we're going to have our white wire going to our silver nut. We're just going to do the same right here. Pull back all the way. I think it's really important that when we're doing this work, that you can kind of see that I'm grabbing all this. I would just recommend not to. I'm in a little bit of a hurry, so I'm cutting corners probably when I shouldn't be doing. I don't recommend it. Now, even now, I want this to be bent a little bit differently, so I could touch it with my bare hands. I have installated tools, and I recommend to make sure that we just use them in this instance. Treat it like it's hot, even when it's not. And again, we're going to just wrap it right around, one at a time, so you don't get confused. Just like that. Look at that. We're doing a great job today. Now the last one is the ground wire. We're just going to take that ground wire off. And then we can just slip it out. We're good to go. This is wonderful. We're doing a great job here. Not every time that we do this, electrical can be really hit or miss, especially in older homes and in older buildings. This building was built in the 1880s. So a lot of the wiring could be really wonky, but because we're kind of in like a new part of the building that they renovated, a lot of electrical is much more updated. But if you're in older homes, you don't know what you're going to get a lot of the times. And it can be really difficult. So I always tell people, when you're working on electrical, always assume the worst and plan for it and hope for the best. Because electrical can be a nightmare, and what you think it could be a 5-minute job could turn into a 45-minute job very easy. So you can kind of work on that a little bit more aggressively if you need to. Your ground is fairly safe to touch here. Just squeeze it just as I can, be it here. There we go. Come on. Don't be stubborn. Sometimes you just have to be patient, even though you don't want to be. Be patient, because if you're trying to rush, you're going to have a harder time. It's one of my biggest life lessons I've had to learn. There you go. Just like that. It worked. When you just give it a moment to breathe. So we have this right here, the little spacers. We're going to just rip them off like that. And then we can fold it like it's tacos. And look at that. We got a really nice plastic taco. And then we can apply it to the bottom like this. Doesn't need to be perfect. It's fine. That's good. But before we do that, I'm going to use electrical tape around this. Now, a few things to note. Some electricians hate this electrical tape. Others swear by it. And I honestly think that having electrical tape around your stuff is a good, just basic thing to learn. This electrical tape itself is going to be fairly protective and help prevent any wire issues later on. Okay. And good thing it doesn't have to be pretty, because if that had to be, I would have failed today. So let's make sure that we got both of our spacers on. Just like that. Perfect. Now we're going to push it in there. The hardest part is almost always getting the wires back in. There you go. We're gonna get one part in first. We're gonna go with the top one first. And once we get it in a little bit, it's gonna be a whole lot easier, yeah. Make sure it's nice and tight. We got our cover, and I'm just gonna place it on there to make sure it's nice and flush. And that's what we want. We want it to be nice and flush. Sometimes people ask me why I care so much about the details. I don't know, I think details make me proud. Like I feel good about something afterwards. Maybe no one else knows that I put spacers in there. And maybe no one will know there's a problem, but I knew it was. And I can know that I did the best job I could do, and that makes me happy. And another little trick, this screw being going up, straight and down, is a good indication that the person who is doing the job understands codes and just like is very like attentive to details. If you walk into an apartment and you see every single cover that has the screw direction in the same spot, that's a home you want to be in, because that maintenance technician and that person was very careful and cared a lot about getting every single thing in that home to look good. And that is work we should be proud of. So let's go turn this back on and make sure we're safe while we do it. But first we're gonna put this back in here and then plug in our fan, so when the fan turns on, we know that we are good to go, okay? If you have other people working with you and they're in the area where you're gonna be turning it on, it's important to say, going live, so everyone is safe just in case. And we can hear the fan coming back on, so we know that we're good to go. The outlet tester is on, and so is the fan. So we know that the power is working fine. Now all we gotta do is clean up, and then the job is done. Look at that. What a wonderful job today. We learned so much. Electrical stuff can be so scary, but so many things are scary when you don't know anything about it. So learning about it and doing the work a little bit can help prevent a stigma. And if you don't ever feel comfortable doing this work, that's okay. You don't have to do anything that makes you feel unsafe, but just learning about it can make you feel a little bit more comfortable around it and take away that scary stigma that might be looming in the back of your head. So I'm proud of you for sticking this out, even though you may never do the work. Remember, you're worth the time it takes to learn a new skill. Have a good day, take care, and bye-bye. You ready? Okay, no more surprises? Okay. It's connecting with the nut instead of just the tip, and you want more of the wire to connect with your nut. No one, okay. Sideways on a what?
Tuesday morning.
Thank you.